content is for informational and educational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever by Goren Blockchain, aka DGB, the presenter, or other associated parties for the content being provided. Please do your own due diligence and seek proper counsel.
Boom. We are live. This is going to be a fun one. Rankin had to jump to another call. He's going to be back and forth probably. But welcome to the DGB show, since we still haven't named it. It's Hash Brown Yoshi. It's sort of becoming this long joke where every episode we talk about what should we name this podcast. And I have a feeling it's just going to be called the DGB show forever, because we're number 7. This is the seventh consecutive week. We did a few test runs before that, so that's pretty great. This one's going to be fun, guys. So to everyone watching, I got to throw this thing up here. I always forget to throw up. Follow at DGB Ventures on Twitter, or go to dgb.vc and follow all the places and stuff like that, because we have the new website. You can contact us there and everything. Think there's going to be a lot more information soon, because right now we're streaming this to my LinkedIn and my Twitter, but it's also going to YouTube, and soon we'll start streaming it to through the DGB accounts instead, I think. Who knows? We haven't named it, so nothing's set in stone. One of the things before I even go in, one of the funny jokes we were talking about is we're talking about like crypto bros, this and that, and so we went down this funny naming idea of calling it some kind of iteration of crypto bros and whatever, and leaning into being kind of goofy, meatheady kind of names, which is funny because it's like we're a bunch of nerds and it's not really our style. So that was funny. And somebody suggested the other day we call it big blockchain energy. And I thought that was really funny. I don't think we will do. But guys, there's a cool project called Teztones. I'm not affiliated in any certain way. DGB is not an investor or anything as of yet, or anything, but I participated in judging a really cool music competition this weekend called Teztones, and Yoshi and Hash Brown are kind of the founders of Teztones, and so we thought it'd be fun to have them on to talk about it, but also just talk about music, NFTs, and kind of the future of music distribution and everything. But first off, welcome Hash Brown, welcome Yoshi. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
How Absolutely, you doing? Thank you.
Yeah, so Teztones is on Tezos, so that's cool because everyone who follows knows that I love Tezos. Actually, this is the first time since I got my DGB T-shirt made that we were doing this. So I wanted to wear my DGB shirt, but as I was grabbing it off the hanger 10 minutes ago, my Manchester United Tezos jersey was right there, and it was really hard choosing between the two because it was tough. I got the Tezos community on here today, so it was fun. Ryan Tanaka is watching. Ryan was one of the judges also. Ryan runs Taya Cafe, which we're going to have him on to talk about that too. I was just messaging with him saying I need to learn more. They're doing some really cool stuff, making sure that creators get taken care of right. And that's part of why I love that whole community and the Tezos NFT community. We talked a little bit on of some of the origin stories of the Tezos NFT and creator community when I was judging Teztones final, which was practically impossible for me because it's such a hard one, but also I don't ever want to say anything negative about anything, and picking favorites is so hard. It was just it was painful for me. But guys, why don't you guys explain what Teztones is, and then we'll kind of start jumping in and talking about the space in general afterwards.
Yeah, I guess a quick like elevator pitch essentially.
Yeah.
Teztones is like it's a sports league for artists. So it's looking at kind of like esports and the NFL and looking at like there's these structures and these contexts that just work, that's bigger than just like coming out of the Spanish flu of 1918. The NFL didn't exist. It wasn't a thing. People were running around playing football for fun, getting concussions. No one was getting paid. Nowadays, people watch the commercials of the Super Bowl because it's so interesting to them. Like that's the value they've created with this context. Like baseball cards, first baseball cards that were printed, the T206s were like extra card stock in a cigarette company. They gave them out for free. And now they're selling for millions of dollars because the context of the stats and like you can put Shohei Ohtani up against Babe Ruth, even though there's hundreds of years or 100 years between them because of this context. And it's like, music doesn't really have much like that. We have like American Idol, there's this competition thing. You have your bands, you have groups, but you don't have this bigger structure and context. And as someone who's, been in blockchain music for a while now, I've seen things rise and fall. And like for me, it was, what kind of, for lack of a better term, institution can we build? Someone that can progress with us and increase in value with time, So Teztones was looking at that kind of.
Yeah. So at a high level, though, to explain to people what that is, because what you're saying makes perfect sense. But Teztones, basically what you guys did was you didn't just grab musicians, but you grabbed artists off of Tezos. People apply to participate. Did they get put into groups randomly, or did they choose their groups?
No, we randomly assigned like a lot of people.
I love that, actually. I love that.
It was like a real draft.
And that's like real sports too, because you're going to get people on your team that speak different languages that you might not know, like all these different things, different genres, and that's going to push you to be like, okay, what can I do? How can I figure this out?
Yeah, so to set that the tone, I should have got some downloads on here so I could share them, but it'll be an excuse to bring it back and to share some of that stuff on Twitter and everywhere else. But so you guys. People applied, right? Like people said they want to participate in this sports league. And it wasn't just musicians and wasn't just a certain type of music too, right? Like there's different people that play different kind of music, rock music, hip hop, electronic, all this stuff. They applied, but also artists that do visual arts on Tezos and everywhere else, and NFT, artists and artists in general participated. Everyone gets thrown into these groups, like bands, right? It's like as if you're starting a band, but you're meeting, like it's like a blind date version of starting a band. They get together, and then they have a certain period of time, and then even like a theme or a topic where they have to write a song, and not just a song, but create a video, make some kind of visual representation of the song too. In like was it 1 week, 2 weeks? How much time?
Okay. I'll break that part down a little bit quicker.
That's what I want to know. Like,
I got into my like
fascination
of the context. I'm like, I always get too passionate and start talking about like the wrong thing. Okay.
No, that was solid.
Very
it was solid. It was solid. But I want to also know.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts. The quick nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Is we started off with what we call the preseason, where teams didn't have names. We just called them team 1, 2, and 3. We had artists just sign up, and even when they signed up, we thought like, oh wait, we have visual and audio artists. So we had to realize, okay, let's assign them randomly, where we'll assign the visual artist and the audio artist separate to make sure each team had at least one visual artist and a couple audio artists. We completely randomly assigned them. We just threw them at it. We said, let's create a common theme. We went with the color. The first theme was, I believe, blue. And we just gave teams 4 weeks and said, okay, after 4 weeks, the only structure it needs to be in, it needs to be a square, because we have a square frame we're going to put it in. Other than that, go at it, do whatever you want on the visuals, on the music. We wanted to let the creativity really speak to itself. And yeah, like you said, different genres. We have jazz musicians, classical musicians, like, rock, like you said, all different genres.
Were there rules that the piece of content had to be 100% original? Like, are there any kind of rules? Like what I mean by that is like, you shared with me a cool hip hop song that you had done years ago, right? So could you in your first week be like, guys, here's the song, we're gonna do a remix, and then you make a video,
So in a way, some people like, we had to figure that out as we went, because we always assumed that people would do everything from scratch. And then every once in a while I was like, oh, I have this sample here, or I have this beat that I started. And to me, that's okay, because they were like half done and it's bringing it to the table. But for the most part, I think they all have been 90% or, from scratch, which is even crazier and cooler. Like my
that
team
to
went
me
around
is
doing a bunch of weird
even
genres.
more mind blowing.
Oh yeah. I mean, and shout out to Yoshi because his team's probably, if not the most international between America,
That's what I was
Cuba,
gonna
and Russia.
bring that
So
up. Yeah,
3 different languages, 3 different, like, yeah, it's crazy.
I may have just interrupted you a little, so in case people didn't hear, Yoshi's team had Yoshi. Yoshi, I don't even know where you are. Somewhere in America, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm in Georgia.
Okay, so you're in Georgia. You had a team member in Cuba and a team member in Russia.
Yes. Yeah.
And you guys had to create new music. Was 1 month the amount of time for the first one, or was 1 month how much time you had every single
Everyone.
time?
Everyone.
Every
We
single time.
didn't change that yet. That's a big thing I want to change going into next season, which I've already kind of probably told you a little bit about.
I feel like
but
the
it's
first
later.
time you need at least like a month, but then every other one maybe you do like 2 weeks or something.
Okay,
Because
well,
then
It's gonna
What?
get interesting. I'll tell you that, because at least for Team Indigo's
Yeah.
experience, we pushed it to the final day every single match. Like we
But
were
did you
literally.
need the first 3 weeks?
That's
Or
my point. Okay, so should I just spill the alpha right now of what I want to do? I don't even know if we're gonna do it.
Do it.
Yoshi. Okay. I want to turn into
Okay,
live
by the way, this live stream and what I do, I'm like insanely crazy transparent on these things.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if you look back on like when I was doing blockchain and booze, ideas I had for companies that we ended up starting ourselves, I gave to people on the live stream for months before. And when nobody built those companies, I did it myself because I'm that guy. I gave, by the way, like, remember when there was early days of Tezos NFTs, there was a guy who did a thing called Tezos Tacos.
Yeah.
I had that idea. I owned tezostacos.com. And when I found out the guy was doing it on one of the streams, I tried to give him the domain name. The guy never reached out to me. So I let it expire eventually.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, I'm a big fan of being super transparent. Let's give up all our ideas because it's all about the execution anyway. And to me, if somebody does it, then I can be a part of it or not.
If someone else made my vision to Teztones and I could just be an artist, I'd be so happy. Like, okay, you take over the reins and I'll just be an artist. Like, please do it better.
Okay, so what's your idea? Let's
okay. My idea is exactly what you said. Did you need those 3 weeks before? I think no. I think most artists on average maybe put in 3 to 6 to 12 maybe, because some of us do like some visuals and then mixing and that. Some people put in a decent amount of work, but I'd say on average artists don't put in that much. I mean, and it probably completely depends on the different kinds of artists. So
there's some people probably who take the lead and do a lot more, and then other people kind of contribute.
Yeah.
So it's also different people, right? Because I could see both sides. I am the procrastinator. You give me 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I will think about it periodically for 3.5 weeks, and then I will do everything from at midnight the last 2 days before. I'll say I'm going to do it during the day, but then work gets in the way, right? Like real life, life won't wait, right?
As someone who's overseen 9 teams,
I have a feeling Yoshi is actually uses the time because right. So tell me, what's your idea?
Okay, my idea is essentially, as great as that time is, and as much as some people use it, A, we don't need it. And B, for being like entertainment, because you were at the event, it was cool. But if you have a 4-week period, we had 1 match every 5 weeks. That's not really a sports league. That's sports is weekly. Sports is often. So crazy, but every artist I've said this to in Teztones is like, oh, I'd love to do that. Let's try it out. I want our matches to be 3.5 to 4 hours long, and I want it to be 2 teams at a time. Because what we did in the regular season 2, it was all the teams would make a piece, and you have to vote 1 through 9. So you'd have some amazing pieces in 3 through 6, and you'd be like, oh, I have to put this one 5th, or I have to put this one 6th, and they're like amazing pieces, and it was so hard to do. So something about the postseason that you judged that was easier is, as hard as it is to judge between 2 pieces, it's like, I like this one a little more, okay. But once you get through 3 through, bottom line, that was our format worked, but it could be so much better. I think 3-hour matches where teams show up live. It's 2 teams. You say, here's the theme. They're in like a Zoom call or in a spatial, and then you
Oh,
could literally
like, so
have the
they
live
literally-
stream going, and you have 3 hours to do it. You could then at halftime check in with them, have the announcer come in. Hello, how are you doing? So are you guys going to make any adjustments? What do you think about blah, blah, blah? You know, you
So
could do like all
annoying.
those
It'd be
questions
great.
and stuff. Like you could have all of that stuff, the stress of it, the excitement of it, the, oh my God, they have nothing ready. And then in the last quarter of it, the last hour of it, they pull together a verse and this, and it's like, oh, and they get in the excitement and some of the stress and the drama, but also, like you said, it'll be so much less stressful for artists in a way, because instead of having to like play tag over, you know, Yoshi's in 3 languages and 3 time zones. Don't get me wrong, the languages live would probably be pretty hard, but the time zones are all there live. And it's like, there's so much more you can create when 3 brains are actively doing something than someone like, oh, here's my idea.
Yeah, but
and then a day and a half later, someone else, oh, here's my idea. You know, like just let it cook.
You're correct, but it's also it's a fucking insane idea. It's nuts. Because,
absolutely.
Oh,
but
dude,
I love it.
because it's different. Because us 3 being on here right now, I'm like, okay, let's write a song. What the hell? And coming from scratch would be a little nutty. But the fact that it's being live streamed and I actually can turn that off. There is a weird thing. You know, I have never played my guitar and sang a song in front of anyone who was not a blood relative of mine in real life.
Oh, wow.
I was in a punk band. I was screaming in front of hundreds or thousands of people at shows and stuff when I was a teenager.
Okay. Yeah.
That is okay because I'm there with my friends or something.
Yeah.
But I've still never got the guts to do it. But I've done live streamy things where live I've played my guitar. I've shared videos online. I've airdropped Punk Ape Strong songs to all of the Tezos holders and things like that all the time. No problem. But there's something about it. And it partly is I've only really seriously started playing guitar since like COVID, right? Because before that, you know, it was I just stunk, and I still stink, but I can play the 4 chords needed for a folk song, right?
Yeah.
But I think for me, the distraction would be, oh, look, Ryan made a comment, right? I wouldn't be able to not be distracted by stuff like that live. And then some people, the fact that people are watching live will be really self-conscious. It's one thing to think things through. Like, remember, what's his name? The guy who played the saxophone in the winning song, Shadow. Shadow. That guy rocked, right? And then he, you know, was practically crying, explaining his feelings and what brought him to do that and do that during the recording session and all that. That live would be an epic thing, but it's hard to be that way live and in the moment, knowing people are watching that you don't know.
To an extent, though,
because you're thinking, you know, my mom is watching.
It's like that. It's like that performing though, right? Like I'm super shy. Like my favorite part about being like I'm a rapper now and it sucks. My favorite thing about being a drummer back in the day is I'm hidden behind a guitar player, bassist, and a drum set. Yeah. And I would always be nervous as shit. And then like sorry if I'm not allowed to cuss, second or third song
I cuss all the time.
Okay. Second or third song in, you realize, dude, this is what I'm here for. Like, this is what I love to do. You know, there's a certain point, I think, for most musicians where you hit that flow and you're like, why am I nervous? Like, this is what I practice for. This is you know, you get that moment. And I also used to live stream on Twitch making songs, and it used to be really like, oh, at first it would take me like hours and hours, and it gets to this point where you just kind of you hit a flow and you forget the camera's there and you start having fun with it. And it's
I like it. I thought, you know what?
I think that could happen.
I think there should be live elements like every once in a while. Like maybe there's like a wild card round where there's like teams do some kind of live session, some kind of challenge that might give them extra points or something, right? Here's my idea. Tell me if this is crazy or not, because you just, and I did not think about this in advance. And we are not hearing from Yoshi, by the way. You're being too shy, dude.
Jump on it.
But here's my idea. And then Yoshi maybe will like this or some version in between. But a sports league has matches every week, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that every team has to play every week.
Oh,
and also, it doesn't mean that 9 teams have to compete with each other every week.
That's one of the things that I've heard Hash talking about.
How about a schedule? When you start, part of the anonymous processes, we get put on teams. Let's say us 3 get on a team. We call it Big Blockchain Energy.
Great team.
Deleted Crypto Bros. All right.
Yep.
Crypto bros are on a team together, and we get our schedule, which also is anonymized, right? And we might get lucky because we might get 6 weeks before our first match. And another team might have to play on the first week in 4 weeks, right? And maybe every week there are 2 matches or something. It depends on how many teams there are, maybe 3 matches. But then the cadence is I compete every other week or something. I actually wouldn't mind it being weekly myself,
you know
but I
what's funny?
understand that I'm in the minority of
Yeah.
ADD last minute procrastinators.
Yeah, me too.
But now you have a schedule and the judging. There's a community and there's the judging, however you want to do it. There, bring judges or whatever. I think the judging should happen on a team to team. I don't think there should ever be. So it's like, 8 a.m. On this date is this, and maybe not 8 a.m. because it's music, but let's say the evening, every Saturday evening, every Friday evening, every Thursday evening, we have 2 matches in a row, right? Or 2 matches in one metaverse experience. I don't know, something like that. Then you can accrue points throughout the season. Then you have a playoffs. Maybe the playoffs is some kind of crazy brackets fast mode, but that's after you've gotten the.
You know what I love about this is I've been trying to let you go and just smile here passively because this is my exact plan. Like I already did the schedule. Some teams end up having to have 2 weeks back to back, but the idea is to have them have every other week. Looking at having 12 teams, it would be 2 to 3 matches each week. Teams would have every other week. Like everything you're saying is exactly my plan. So you know what? I love it. I'm thinking the exact same thing, and I think Yoshi
y'all are on the same
back
wavelength.
me up. I've said the exact same stuff.
Absolutely, and for me, it's like at first it was like, oh hell no, I don't want to do that. That sounds like way too much pressure. But then I really put some thought into it, and I was like, you know what? It might bring out the best of me because some of my best songs I've ever written were just kind of just came out, in like 15-30 minutes. And then, then if you got like a team on your side and you have that kind of creative energy, if you just go with it, I feel like it's probably like you were saying when you get up on stage, sometimes it's like taking that first strum and that first melody, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, this is what I'm here to do. Like you just got to get into it, and then you're on it.
Dude, yeah, I feel like there's a part of this though that really lends to like electronic music and things like that, right? But like, is there good software for like, live or close to live, like,
Right. That's actually something I was going to ask Hash Brown for this next season with some support. Actually, would be to have a little bit of a preseason, I guess you could say, like practice, like a boot camp, where we all kind of learn a certain, I don't know if it's Audacity or Reason or whatever it is.
If I could teach you guys one, it'd be Cubase. If I could teach you guys Cubase, Cubase is the best. I mean, in my opinion.
But
you have to do something that's relatively either free or that you can get a free license. Like maybe you find a sponsor, get one of those groups to that does live stuff to sponsor or something.
Right.
Or just get an audio software company to sponsor us. Be like,
Teztones, and give Cubase. all of the people something like that, because otherwise, somebody in Cuba, somebody in Russia, somebody in Mexico, somebody here in the United States, right? Like that kind of software is crazy expensive, right? The good ones are a lot of money. Even the ones that aren't a lot of money are a lot of money to some people. And part of the beauty of, NFT creation, right, is to remove those barriers to entry, right? So
that's actually something we just started writing was like sponsorship proposals to like Arturia and different software companies to be like, hey, we have 24 audio artists we're gonna have next season. Can you sponsor us with a plugin suite? Because to them it's an activation code. It's not a physical product, So it's like, if we could get different video editing software, maybe like, oh, what's up, Yoshi? Some credits for like Midjourney or stuff like that, because again, some of our artists, it's like, oh, I have the subscription, some of them can't afford it, so we want to kind of level the playing field in that way and get.
There's also I did it once. They're a local company, and I was organizing this thing called 805 Startups, which is a big local startup community thing. And I reached out to Blue Microphones. They actually are based out next to me. And I went, hey, I have all these people. I do these live streams. I do this thing. Can I get hooked up? And they're like, you're a creator, whatever. And they gave me a special account that let me buy stuff at cost. And I was able to buy my microphone for cheap. And this was years ago. I haven't tried since. And I have a new Blue microphone I paid full price for because I felt embarrassed to ask again because I wasn't doing the community organizing
do
stuff
it. You got to ask him. You got to ask him. I got one of those deals a while back and I emailed them shamelessly like 7 years later. And they're like, oh yeah, we still have your account. Cool. And I was like, yes, it's still there.
Yeah, that's cool. See, but here, what I'm thinking is you go to a group like that. I don't know if they don't have, I don't think software. Actually, they're owned by like Logitech now or something, but whatever. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is to go to the software companies. I think if you reach out and say, we have participants around the world, it's this thing. We have thousands of people watch the streams and all that. I bet you they'll be happy to give, 30 licenses, even if it's just 90-day licenses that work throughout the season or something like that. I bet, there's also like apps, like those phone apps, like Acapella and some of those cheesy ones where you can do recordings like that. But I don't think you guys are like serious. Like look at Yoshi's studio.
Any tool's a tool, but
right now. But I was nervous. I didn't have any sort of like preview. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna show them my world here.
Oh yeah, it's always terrifying, right?
It looks good. So
I had like a random bag of onions hanging up behind me. I was like, guys, bring the onions down.
All the
they can't notice my kitchen.
All the empty cat litters. Like, oh, come
on. So I mean, it's really cool. And we talked. I was asking questions during the final in between stuff. But how many songs ended up getting created throughout the tournament?
55
songs.
I'm impressed. I was about to go count.
Yep.
And you guys, I was asking, you guys were thinking about, I think you've distributed them all as NFTs, right? Like people can mint them and stuff.
They're all on Object, and then we also have them on our YouTube channel for like a little more easier Web 2 watching.
Nice. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can go to the YouTube channel and we can show the final winner, just to show people the quality and stuff. But like, those 55 songs, are you guys going to get them distributed through anywhere? These teams can make money. You guys can make money as like a producer, agent, or label, right? Like, so
well, I mean, something that, and the hard thing about that is like, and that's what's so cool about blockchain is when we sell stuff on Object, we have everyone's wallets and it goes instantly to them and stuff. We can do those splits easy. When you're trying to do it through something like Spotify or any of the bigger music distribution things, you like need government names. You start needing all these like bank, like you need other things to split it. So weirdly, we talked about it earlier and then we were like, oh, it's gonna be hard to do, so we just didn't do it. And then it was like, wait, we're not making money because we don't know what we're gonna do with the money. It's like the stupidest thing. So we realized that. I was like, okay, we need to do this, maybe just put it in a pool and then use it for Teztones or something, figure that out.
You could probably do some kind of one, you can make people have to give you, even privately, just Teztones, their real names and stuff like that, so that you can try to pay them. I think like I tested, I wanted to learn about real world distribution because my 99% of my full-time job is talking about how we're going to destroy the current status quo in the finance world, right? But being very passionate about music and all that stuff, I want to destroy the current system when it comes to
legacy institutions.
Yes. So I want to be that Trojan horse that kind of comes in and ruins it all for the bad actors and makes it so that the consumers and the creators actually get to be treated fairly. And so I've been experimenting, and the one I used to experiment with more recently was DistroKid. And when you put in the songwriters on DistroKid, you could put percentages and stuff like that. And I think, I'm not sure exactly, but I think you could put email addresses and stuff like that so that they can actually create accounts and get paid, I think. I can look into it and let you guys know what that looks like. Or Yoshi and I are going to write a song together, you Hash Brown also, and then we'll put it into actually get it distributed on.
It can be our guinea pig song.
it will be a test. It's gonna
Yep,
be.
yep.
I'm gonna write a song about how I'm a terrible judge, and it'll be cool.
I love that because you're the only one that voted for my team.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. Right.
I was hoping so bad I would get to be the last of the judges, and then and then I would know for sure that my vote didn't count. Right?
You know what the funny thing is? Sultan, the last judge, he missed all your guys's. He didn't realize he was the last judge.
Oh, that's cool. So he was pure. It was pure.
He was like, oh, I was the last. I didn't hear anyone else's votes. And I was like, oh, like, because thank God, because I would have, killed me if I had.
So to kind of also, here Rankin is here. We'll get him back into the stream. But 1 sec, David, before we go in, and then we'll catch you up a little bit. But when I was judging, I had like two things to let people who are watching that might not know. There were two things going on in my head. Both songs were freaking amazing. And Yoshi's team had a killer song, and the other team had a killer song. But Yoshi's, when it was over, I was like, what happened? Like, it felt like it was over too soon. Mm-hmm. And that, I was like, I was in my head, I was like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Right? Because, and then I decided it's the ultimate best thing in the world. Because in punk rock, like lots of short songs and whatever. And I always loved a band that would have no shame in doing like a 15-second song. Yeah. Like, and you were just like, wait, what just happened? Right. There's a rad band, a local band called the Missing 23rd. And they had a song that literally all of the lyrics of the song were like, they had this intro that was this crazy hard intro because they're a hardcore band. And then it like literally the singer just would scream, burn this flag and sing with me. And then there were big gang vocals that just went, no freedom, no justice, and then the song was over. And it was just like, that was so rad, but the song never started and never, like, it started and never finished, right? Like,
it really felt meant to be the way it ended up too, because I mean, what I'm saying at the end of that is literally like, listen to the silence. That's one of the last lines I say is like, shut off the lights and let the darkness speak. So like for it to have cut cold there, and honestly, like the universe made us stop there. Like we couldn't get the track back and forth through Cuban internet. So we just basically were like, okay, it's a cool short song. We could have maybe added a bridge or another verse, but with what I'm saying, it makes sense, and we're just gonna put it out there.
Yep.
I like so I was like live debating that because the other song was very complete. It was so good. There was like, it also like took a couple swings in different directions that I love. Like all of a sudden it got kind of hard and this electric guitar comes in. It was whoa, cool. And then a dude starts playing a saxophone. And it was just like, what is going on here? It was like so cool.
It was smart for Shadow to save the sax towards the end. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was, but you kept seeing it because they were making the video. So I'm like, when's this sax coming in? And I was like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe he's not that good at playing. So like, they just like,
just show it.
He's so good.
Like, something in the background. What's going on here?
It's just a prop.
It was so good. So David, these guys did that tournament I was telling you about, and it was killer. And we've been talking about it this whole time. It also part of the experience. So David Rankin, you guys, if you don't know him so well, one of the reasons why he used to be on Blockchain and Boost so much, and he became our buddy, was he was the chief resident hardcore nerd when it came to. For a second, I was just going to stop right there. When it comes to metaverse, like he is the metaverse guy.
Nice.
And David, they did this in Spatial, and it was so fun. I also realized doing it in the metaverse.
I've got a nice house in Spatial somewhere.
Yeah. I think I've seen cool. I think there was some, you did like a gallery too of a lot of your NFTs in it, right?
Those are cool.
Fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. But how do you guys feel? Like, are you guys going to continue with metaverse in these competitions and stuff?
Oh yeah.
I felt like in the metaverse, like I have dance parties with my kids and things like that. But if we go to like a pub, like go to a bar, go to a place and there's live music, unless it's a punk band and I'm like up there screaming, I don't dance. Like it's just not me.
Totally different.
But in the metaverse, it's fun. Like I get into it. I'm like having my character do his thing and be goofy. And I've been mind blown every time I've done anything in the metaverse where going into it, it's very much like, this is going to be silly. My character is going to be there. I'm going to listen to music. This isn't a real concert. It's not a real concert, but it's still rad and a totally different and fun experience.
I love it. Jamming keys to like the time signatures to like make my character change its dance moves and like all that kind of stuff. And like moving the cursor
and moving his mouse up and down so his head goes with the music.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I think what I would say is like I think the metaverse is equal parts goofy and silly and like PlayStation 2 graphics for most of them, and profound and deep and like amazingly connective. And it's like it's the thing where people try to say one and pretend like it's not the other. Like, oh no, it's super advanced and the graphics are great. It's like, we're not really there, guys, yet. But if we can acknowledge that and have fun with the goofiness, and when you load in, you're just a little character doing some dances, and then realize that, wow, there's like 20 people across the world all participating in this thing at the same time, where we might not have this opportunity to do that otherwise, and have some sort of connectivity. Like I live off grid in the mountains, like in Santa Cruz, and I, in months won't go like a couple weeks with seeing people sometimes because of the rain and stuff. But like with my VR headset, I don't know if it's in the camera shot, like me and my mom watch 49ers games. Oh, we just lost the Super Bowl, so let's not talk about that, in VR together. And that's like me actually being able to hang out and see her. And there's something about that connectivity, that spatial awareness, which shout out Spatial for taking that name because it's smart. But, and even in Spatial, we figured out how to do jam sessions where if I load in a drum beat, then my interface picks up my bass and my microphone. I can play a bass line and rap. We had me playing bass, basses playing guitar, or maybe I was playing guitar. Bottom line, we had like 5 people: live saxophone, 3 rappers, bass, guitar, and a drum beat.
And the latency worked? Dude,
the only thing I can figure out is that it's all off time at the same time consistently, so it's on time. Like we're all off time, so we're on time. Like it makes no sense. But as long as you load like the drum beat into the world as the bass timing, because I think if I were to play the drum beat, then you heard it late and played off of it, we'd all be just like laddered off of each other. But if you have that one drum beat like loaded in as an MP4 into the world as the bass time signature, then everyone, even if we're off, we're on together. So it's weird, but like we're trading bars. Like I'm rapping, stopping, and someone else is picking it up, and I'm like, how does this even work right now? Like we've asked ourselves many times, either it's not working but it is, or it is but it, like
have you watched the recording afterwards and been like, it's off by like everybody's thing is off one by one?
It's kind of magical.
It weirdly doesn't sound off. Like I don't understand it. I actually included a bit of that into one of in the mini documentary we make. There's like a little segment of that, and it's like, but it's one of those things where again it is goofy. It is like a kind of internet PlayStation 2-y graphic-y thing that you load into and you're running around. But it is profound.
When my kids started playing Roblox, I just looked at the graphics. I was like, oh, crappy graphics. Like, have to be this way so that they could get so many people in an experience and whatever. And I kind of dismissed it because we grew up in an age, and you guys are probably a little younger than David and I, but like we grew up in an age where every single new iteration of a system meant new graphics. Every new game, the graphics got better. Every Tony Hawk, right? The graphics got better. We went from Super Nintendo to N64 to PlayStation, and it just got better and better and better graphics, right? And that was part of the gauge of if a game was good. Yeah. All of a sudden, graphics became so good and ubiquitous, like it just became a part of just the norm, that it didn't matter anymore. It's just the game mechanics that mattered. Yeah. And actually, I have this feeling, like I started playing Roblox with my kids and goofing around, and I actually think the low quality graphics make for a better experience most of the time. Like,
do you remember back in the day, it used to be about the story, right? And it was the graphics were crap. And so like it was a story that really had to suck you into the game. And now we got to so good graphics that we kind of forgot about the story aspect of the game. And now you sit there playing this cool, pretty game that is just like boring after an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
I will say though, there's a new developing era within that. I think, like, for example, I play Star Citizen. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of that. It's like a beta, amazingly graphic, like space game that's not even out yet. It's like You go to their site, you pledge a ship, and then you can go play. But there's no story, none. It's this massive verse with no loading screens where hundreds of people can get together. So we'll create our own stories.
Right? You're creating your own story. It's side quest in that point, right? But like you're developing your own character. I mean, that's where once graphics got good enough, I mean, that's basically what it became to me is like, what can I go do by myself and go create my own game? You know?
Right.
Side quest and explore and
but essentially that's what we're doing with Teztones too, is kind of just creating our own little game, in a way, if you think about it.
Skyrim was probably one of our favorites in this house. And because you just go out and do whatever you want. And like we didn't actually ever play the game. We just went out and did stuff.
Yeah. Dude, I started playing MMOs. Like I played EverQuest when I was in like 5th and 6th grade. Like I was living in the mountains off grid with like satellite internet, and my parents were like, you know what, we'll pay $10 a month so you can play EverQuest. I don't know how they did it, but I remember being like 11, 12 years old and being like, hey, I'm playing with this 40-year-old dude in Germany. He's going to help me get my armor, Mom. And she's like, what? Like, what did you just, I don't even know what that means, but okay, have fun, be safe, have fun, And like, it's this thing where like, again, like those graphics were terrible. And for those that don't know, EverQuest was like a precursor to like World of Warcraft, which obviously everyone knows, but it was one of like the first MMOs before it really blew up. And it's even there, they had the Bazaar, which was a whole server that was just for trading, and people would go in and there was this whole independent economy with supply and demand and different things. And when the loot dropped, and like a lot of those things are precursor to like modern cryptocurrency and all those things with digital assets and all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, they're goofy, but tell me those weren't economic things that actually translate into the real world, So yeah, I think there's a lot of depth to those things.
I think there's a lot of that people want freedom to do whatever they want. I mean, like a lot of my kids, we both play Roblox, right? I'm kicking my kids like off Roblox last night when I get home, and I don't want to tell everybody what time it is because I look like a bad parent. But, I mean, these kids are playing Roblox like all day long almost. It seems like sometimes. And it's just the freedom that they have and that social interaction with people globally. And, like you no longer are playing with your friends outside in the front yard anymore. Now you're playing with the guy, 2 cities over that, you see in the same.
Not even right on the other side of the world. So I grew up with family on the other side of the world. And we spent the summers together, some summers, right? Because it was so expensive to fly the other side of the world as a family, especially, right? Like my dad would stay here and work. My mom was a teacher, so we'd have the summer off with her. But like I had great relationships with them for the 4 weeks, a year or two, I would see them, right? Yeah. But imagine, I talk to my nieces and nephews and my cousin who's some of them live very close. Some of them live in New York. Some of them live in Israel. And I talk to them more than I ever did growing up, right? Yeah. And it's all because of the internet and all that. But also we play games with people. I still have people from like the punk rock world who I did things with who I've never met in real life, because back in the day when we were on MySpace, I met them and they were in Florida and I'm here, and we never lined up the times we were going to connect. Right. Yeah. And we collab with people around the world now. Like we have portfolio companies in other countries that we never met in real life. It's freaking awesome. Right. You guys made music with dudes in Russia and Cuba and it was good. Right. Like it's so cool.
It's been an amazing experience. Like I remember when we were first dabbling on Tezos, like when the first NFTs were coming out, and it was like I was longing for what Teztones is then. And I just got to shout out Hash Brown for the resilience, because like I almost tried to create a little collective and just instantly realized it was going to be too much to manage at that time. So the fact that we're sitting here today, a whole season in, is really thanks to this guy. Like Hash Brown, you really made something happen that I know not just I was kind of dreaming for. So
so how long was the whole season? Because so Rankin, what you didn't hear was 55 original brand new songs were created by this group of people in a single season, right? All because this came together, and it's only going to get better.
Are they being published somewhere for people to purchase these songs?
They're on Object. We mint them on Object. We have them on YouTube, and then we will get some more Like,
Does
you know,
each team
digital
mint them
subscription.
themselves, or do they
No,
send them to you?
we
And
we
then
mint
you
them
mint
through
them?
the Teztones wallet, and then we add them all as creators because we have it on a collaborative contract. So everyone gets their splits.
So that's rad. So I think that what you got to do is, I say you do it again that way. I'm throwing out ideas and I'm pretending like I have any real say in
No,
how
I
you do
appreciate it.
it.
No, I love it.
I'm just going all in.
The more
I'm a
ideas, the
part of
better.
the crew now.
That's honestly the whole point of Teztones, though, is like we have our work meetings in public. It's like if some random person off the street walks in, is like, "Hey, you should do this." Like, okay, that's a valid idea. Like, I'm not gonna, just because you haven't been here before doesn't mean you don't have a good idea. You know, like throw it, and I'm gonna take it in.
So object.
Object. I'm gonna throw out the idea, and then Rankin, you'll hear. So I think that moving forward, yeah, Praveen said play some of the music. Guys, give me the in the private chat, post the YouTube channel link. I'll try to share my screen and play at least the winning team, because I agree. We've been talking about it so much. Somebody's got to hear this music. What I was gonna say is, I think throughout the season that would be cool, and then maybe a post-season, you guys release the music, or maybe throughout the season you release it, you know, on Spotify, Apple Music, all of those things too. Maybe that's a way to somehow get points, like the teams that stream the most, according to whatever streaming platform, like DistroKid or CD Baby or one of those things that you guys use. You can see the stats. Maybe like you get extra points based on the top 5 streaming songs, right? Like,
I love that idea, because I feel like I was kind of the hype guy this season, reminding everybody, let's go market what we have for sale and what we're giving to the world. Let's go share it. And I feel like if we could create incentives and gamify that a little bit, it could be huge.
It's a little bit weird because, well, I guess it's cool because I wasn't sure how you guys were. I came into judging blind, right? Like, because I saw all the posts by Yoshi, and every time I saw them, like, shit, I want to check this out. Shit, I want to check that out. I'm working, and I just don't. And I didn't get past the, you know, like, I didn't break the seal. Once I did, I was like, oh crap, I'm all in. This is really cool. But what I was going to say is that I was a little afraid. I was like, wait, if all of the judging is just based on the oh, sweet. Rankin, this whole time we've been doing this is episode number 7. I wasn't sure you could actually post stuff on screen as the co-host. I thought I was the only one. Now there's way less pressure. I get to lean back now. So, you know, yeah, everybody should go to Object, mint the actual NFTs, which is really cool in my opinion. And check that out.
Are these the winners of each season or episode?
Which ones?
The ones on the Teztones on Object.
We mint all of them. So those are
all of them. Okay, yeah. Great. So you can see all of the songs. Cool.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna say is, where the hell was I? We were talking about
how many streams they get, getting extra points.
Yeah, but you know, I think it could be so cool to have you guys do it. Then, you know, you stream, you get extra points. It's kind of like, again, it's a league. So maybe there's some kind of scoring mechanism. Oh, what I was going to say is, going into the last thing, you guys kept talking about, oh, we know what the crowd voted for. And what I was worried about was like, that doesn't seem exactly fair, because I could have a big newsletter and I could tell everyone, hey, make sure you vote for me, right? And then I can win every time. And I don't necessarily mean me. Somebody who has a big audience could win. Even if Yoshi had a way better song, they could win in the popularity contest. So it's worth a certain amount of points, right?
Right.
But the judging is worth more, or at least equal to that, right? So and you guys did that in a smart way. Like, they counted as one vote, I think, right? And then the judges each count as one vote. So, you know, I think there's some cool things like that. And then maybe based on judges and which at the end of the season, right? Which teams had the most streams and which teams sold the most NFTs. Like, these are all categories we could issue points.
Exactly.
And then the points, that's just the league winner, right? Like that's just who won the league.
Well,
now you can do
like,
a playoff bracket for like the last.
And you can also do things that like reward people or say, hey, you brought the most people into Teztones, but not like give their like there's MVPs in football and all these other things. There's awards we can give that wouldn't necessarily affect, because I in a way you kind of want the results to be the results, and it's a double-edged sword with like you're like, oh, whoever sells the most NFTs, but then what if someone has a whale friend and because they sell, it's like it's a weird double-edged sword and something we've been trying to find this whole time. Even we had the public vote, then we had a peer vote, and then we realized the peer vote going to the end of the season, it's like, well, if you just don't like the team that's ahead of you, couldn't you just vote for them last? It's like, okay, maybe the peer vote's flawed too. So like we've had all these systems that kind of answer one thing, but then have their own flaw. So, it's
going to iterate over time. It's going to iterate over time. Yeah.
Season 1 was a lot of trial and error, and it gave us a lot of notes for moving into season 2 and what we're going to work on the off season. And I definitely think that when it comes to the voting, we'll be doing a lot more discussing as far as like, especially if we do live matches, like we'll have to do some things a little differently. But
oh yeah, that's a whole thing. That's my biggest fear with the live matches is figuring out how we actually, and we could just say like, okay, you make these pieces, we can vote, and then within a day, whoever has the most votes, like you could do it like that. To me, it's not as exciting as having the result at the end of the match. But again, all these things we can discuss and try it and say, oh, this worked or oh, this didn't work. Let's, modify.
I think, you know what, like it could be something like the deadline for a song is the day before or something, or the morning of, and there's 24 hours to vote. And that's it, right? Like, because the judges count as a point, right? Each or something. I'm just making stuff up now, but let's pretend there's 4 judges.
Even the judges is hard because then how do you get 4 people to judge two times multiple weeks? It's like that's a big ask for judges then.
Or like to have the same judges throughout the whole season or something.
Or yeah, it's like that would be the easiest thing, but then it's a big ask for them. Or revolving judges every freaking match when you have 2 to 3 matches a week sounds like organization.
Well, I think that 2 to 3 matches a week should, I think having, I don't know what you would do over 3 hours in a live stream, like you were saying, Hash Brown. Like unless you're watching them actually create the
you're
thing.
watching them create. That's
how many of these songs are minted?
All of them, 55.
No, but how many like issuances are
11
of each.
11 of each?
Yes.
What if the judges were just to get the song that they voted for as a reward for judging? I mean, you probably get people willing to judge just have a free song. I mean,
yeah, maybe once it actually gets going.
Right? I mean, like,
no, you know what though? What if halfway through a season I'm watching, I'm like, oh shit, Hash Brown has more followers than Yoshi. I bet his song is going to be more valuable as a mint afterwards. Now I'm basing my mint based on a speculative value and not who made the best song.
That could happen too.
But what about just making each mint like an open edition, right? So you're just minting the NFT.
Yeah, we have. I don't know if you guys know Retro Manny, but Retro Man, awesome artist, and he was like, you know what, we need to really hold the value. Like I was originally, we were saying like, let's do 50 pieces at a few Tezos each, and he was like, let's hold the value, let's do a lower quantity, let's make them 25 Tezos each, and I was like, yeah, Retro. So he convinced us to do it, and then he left Teztones, and now I have to justify his pricing. So it's like, all right, dude, but I do stand by. I understand it. I get it.
I would like,
we might change that moving forward a little.
Hey, David Rankin, do you remember a few years ago there was a bus from Los Angeles to the Bitcoin conference in San Francisco called like the Bit Bus or something, and there was like 40 Bitcoiners all drove from LA to San Francisco for a conference, and like Crypto Stash was one of the people, and there was this whole thing. On one of these streams, I convinced them to do that. I went, this is going to be the most fun thing in the world. Be like all of us together on a bus. I know it takes like 7 hours in a bus, 9 hours on a bus to drive up there. It's going to be annoying, but we're going to be all together. It's going to be so fun. And then I ditched them and I didn't take the bus. I flew out.
That guy.
That's what that just reminded me of.
That's funny. That's a small world. I think Stash interviewed like me with Team Hodl a couple years ago. We were dropping some stuff.
Stash is the best. He is an OG, and he's such a smart dude.
I think he also has a bespoke Atez.
Oh, Stash has a bespoke Atez? That's cool.
I think so.
I may have introduced him to the Atez crew when they first launched or something, or maybe I'm just taking credit for that, but I don't know. He's a rad dude.
don't curse me for this not being Tezos, but have you guys looked at Sound.xyz and how they do their marketing or their sales?
Not a ton. I've been so just tunnel
Because
vision to what we're
In
doing right
tunnel
now.
vision,
Just-
yeah.
what Sound XYZ does is they'll sell like the first like 20 or something like that mints, right? And that gives you a chance to put a message on the song. But then they after they sell the first 20, which are the special ones, then they do an open mint, right? So they have they have a there's a uniqueness to the first 20 that is special.
That's cool.
Then they do a general mint for everybody
Yeah.
else. But it's kind of cool because I mean the thing is if it's a great song, the last thing you want to do is limit that great song to only 25 people or 11 people, right?
Mhm.
Like, music should be shared.
I think it would be cool.
Well,
like,
but our songs are also on
especially-
YouTube, so you can, it's not like
Okay.
we're limiting it
Okay.
to it just there. It's
I
just
got
trying
you.
to
I
make it
got
more
you.
valuable for the collectors. But I do like that
For
idea
sure.
too. That's a little best of both worlds. idea.
Right.
And it's also why I like the traditional stuff. I think that like the super fans want NFTs, but like I don't listen. I mint NFTs of everything, but when I'm driving in my car,
Yeah.
Right.
I use Apple Music. That's what I
Well,
listen.
Mhm.
and
I
dude,
listen
I
on
say this.
Spotify, right?
I say this all the time. People complain so much about Web 2, but how much do you get paid when someone streams your song on a fucking marketplace?
It's a good
Zero.
point. Yeah.
You-
Yeah.
You don't even get 0.001. You get 0.0000. Like you don't get anything. At least Spotify.
And
pays you when
it'll
you get
shift, and you need to kind of play both sides and
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So-
exactly. Right.
Is Tezos integrating music with a spatial? Like-
The spatial.
The music, yeah, the
Metaverse?
NFTs, like these NFTs on Tezos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spatial. I don't think Spatial has Tezos integrated into it yet. They have
Okay,
Meta.
so
Oh,
we
so what we were watching, you had to upload in. You couldn't just connect an
Mhm.
NFT to it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
that's a
interesting.
bummer too.
So, like,
Upload
one of
some
the
stuff.
main use cases, because I have a large collection of like music NFTs, and the main reason I do that is so I have atmospheric music for my metaverses, right?
Mhm.
What do you
So-
build in? What have you
What?
been using? What do you use to build in?
For metaverses,
Yeah.
like
All of them.
Oh,
But so
I
what?
did
Which
Sandbox, Decentraland, Crypto Voxels, Spatial, on Cyber.
so you're connecting Tezos and
No,
Poly
I'm not using
ETH?
Tezos. I don't use Tezos.
Okay,
I'm
so
using
what-
traditional Ethereum NFTs. But the thing is I think that is a huge aspect, at least for music on NFTs, is being able to incorporate those NFTs into your metaverses. And I think that's one of the areas I think that Tezos is probably lacking on right now, is that integration of those NFTs, right?
Yeah.
On Cyber is integrated at least.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, you can connect. But yeah, they were a little behind there. And honestly, I think it's because we upgrade so often. I think it's hard for a lot of people to keep up.
I
That's
think
interesting to think about. Yeah, it's actually
Well, there's just
so
not
one
the
of
money
the
that
best
it needs, you know?
benefits of Tezos is that's a potentially a drawback.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Look, I think we're almost out of time. Yeah, Ryan is right. Even on Decentraland, NFT integration is pretty crappy. Like you add an image, it's cool. You can put an image in a frame in a place, but audio in Decentraland just stinks in general. Like I couldn't put a Punk Ape Strong video when I was testing it back in the day. But to be fair, it's also been like a year since I and I think it is something that could use improvement.
Absolutely
for the
agree. Yeah.
whole world. We're gonna have Ryan on soon to talk about Tea Cafe, and I think that there's also on Tezos, there's just cool ways of also people have created like playlist ability. Like I think that's what Tea is doing,
Tea's
Tea
super cool.
Cafe, and the ability to listen to music. And that's something that will be really cool too, because that's something to me that's missing the biggest thing. I've never listened to any of my NFTs in my car. That's a lie. I probably have opened it up on my phone just to see what it sounds like on good speakers, but I don't. 99% of the time, I just Apple Music.
And honestly, like a big goal with Teztones too, though, is to kind of break out of the like we need to find Web3 solutions for everything. Like we're a sports league. Like sports cards work. There's so many things that work, and I think people, as someone who's like been making, I showed you my crypto rap song from 2017, as someone who was like all into this niche, and we only sold our thing for crypto because then it could go into our our escrow account that you could like monitor. Like we've done all that. It's time to just kind of open it up to the world more and like, oh, you want to buy a player card? Oh, you want to look at a sports league for artists? By the way, we happen to mint on Tezos. The blockchain happens to be a very convenient tool for us. But like in our like mini documentary we made, I don't mention NFTs or blockchain once because I think like part of our strength in Teztones is to create something that can bring people in without having to focus on the tech. And I think I love the tech. You know, I've been in blockchain for years now, but I think we get a little too cornered and a little too niche and a little too, this is the only solution sometimes. So, you know, we're trying to
look, guys like Yoshi, guys like you guys can utilize the blockchain to create a more fair and direct way for fans to engage. It's awesome. It's transparent. But along the way, you're also going to release the music in other places. You're going to, you know, who knows, right? Like the song that Yoshi submitted for the final could be used in a film, right? And that can't happen on chain right now. It might at some point, and there might be ways for you to distribute the IP that way. As that comes, you're going to do it, right? But in the meantime, if you guys also act as sort of the publishing company for all these songs, those people still are the writers. They still get 90 or 95% of the value, whatever. But you guys did something really cool. You put people together, and now they're going to create 55 songs in one season that you can distribute and bring to the world and whatever, and you should get it out there however the heck you can. And you know, guess what? You know, you won't own a single piece of anything if Yoshi and the dude from Cuba decide to start making music together, and that's it. But you're a part of their origin story. That those songs are something people can mint. That songs are something that people can listen to on Spotify. And Yoshi and what was the name of the dude in Cuba? Now that I keep
Caguero.
Yeah. So Caguero, like he'll be able to make music together forever, right? And they'll get a piece of their royalties on chain instantly. And if you know, and you can do so. Maybe you do. Maybe you're right. Maybe the money made in streaming, if the artists agree, can all go to future prizes for whatever. But in my opinion, it should be like a percentage, right? Like the writers still should get like, you know, the people who did it should get 90% or 80%. I don't know what's fair. I have no idea what the norm is. This is a totally different thing, but I think it's cool. You're like creating bands like from scratch, and you're stuck together. There's a lot of drama. And that's also something that we didn't touch on. Like, I bet you could take this, do it another time or two, and then get some production company, something.
Oh, it could absolutely become a reality TV show.
Oh, totally.
Why do you think I want live matches?
Right?
Why do you think I want live matches? It's so much more exciting.
What happens is, like, what if I really hate Hash Brown's style of rapping and I got put on his team, and now there's this drama of shit, like I'm going to lose in the first round because I'm with Hash Brown, man.
The songs don't go
perfect. What if we make the most epic song together?
Right. I think every team, every time, like we always butt heads at least a little. Like it's never like you're like, oh, this is my idea. And like, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. Like there's always a little something. And that's, you know, again, I look at like the NFL, and they call the stream, they call the product. It's not the sport, it's the streams, it's the overlays, it's the casters, it's the context, even the visual lines, the first down line. So, you know, oh, they need to get here. That's a narrative device. Like all these things that they do in sports is a narrative device. So you're drawn into the story of the sport, because otherwise just watching people run around. The clock, the quarter, the amount of time, the play clock, all those things. So we can tap into all of that.
There's competition, right? There is a winner. Kinda like there is a winner, not kinda, there is, right? There's a winner and a loser in every week or whatever, in every competition, but everyone who's watching wins because it's all new music, it's all fun. Like you are obsessed with San Francisco, so it was a tough loss for you on Sunday night. But my team lost before we got there, and so for me, I kept flip-flopping, and it was pissing off my kids because one of them wanted San Francisco, one of them wanted Kansas City. But I kept flip-flopping, and they're like, "What are you doing? You're cheering for them now?" And I go, "I want more goals. I want more scores. I want it to be as close as possible and as many points as possible, because I'm just having fun. I'm a winner, right? Like,
I heard there was no crypto commercials this year. I was sad.
There were no crypto commercials, but
there weren't.
Jack, the founder of Twitter, was wearing a Satoshi shirt, and he was on screen for a split second.
Hey, there's something.
Hi, Jack. We'll take it.
And didn't have to pay millions for it either.
You know why there were no crypto commercials? because it's a terrible return on investment to in a dying way, in a dying.
We'll see it back next
economy,
year.
right?
Watch next year Super Bowl. We're gonna see it back.
Prices go down, or if
When we're
money
at
comes
top.
back into crypto, and it'll be some crappy exchanges.
It'll
trying
be
to
like
get-
some other institutional advertising crypto next year. Watch.
But you know what performed best of all of the crypto ads ever was the Coinbase one, where they just threw a QR code on the screen and didn't have a commercial at all. That actually converted more users than any of the FTX ones, any of the high ones where they had to pay actors millions and millions of dollars. So
that one was smart.
it was the first time they did it. And this year, somebody copied it. There was something, and then a QR code came on the screen, and like Nicki Minaj's voice was like, oh my God, what's that? Or like something. And it was just stayed on the screen for like 5 seconds. And they copied Coinbase on that one. As far as I know, Coinbase is the only person who ever did like we're just throwing a QR code on the screen. Okay, we're like beyond time, and we have to jump to another meeting. But we're gonna keep in touch with you guys. We're going to. I said I'm participating. I think I'm gonna sign up.
Let's get you on a team.
But also, we didn't get to the. I was gonna ask you guys, like, are you guys gonna make this a real business? Is this a real business? Is this incorporated? Is it an LLC? So we're gonna have you back, talk about this. And then, maybe we do another session where you guys pitch to us. And
yeah,
right,
I'm working on a pitch deck right now, so
I'll help.
I'm getting ready.
Let me know how I can be helpful.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about this. And like I said, I'm a big fan of everything on Tezos, but I'm a bigger fan of how do we destroy the current music industry and make it more fair for everyone. And you are talking to the dude who made the first Tezos music video NFT ever.
True.
First one on chain ever.
Woo, shit.
Let's not say destroy the music industry. Let's say transform the music industry.
Yeah. Disrupt the music industry.
Disrupt is like somebody being a little bit aggressive in a meeting, like, excuse me, I want to say something. That's disruptive, right?
Right.
Destroy is we're going to take down the whole building and build something new.
I mean, I do like it.
You tried, David. You tried.
I like the thought.
I know you, dude. You guys have to remember that I'm a punk rocker. Destroying the music industry is one of the common themes in.
I was in a reggae, ska, surf rock punk band in high school. Like, Minor Threat. Like, like I'm with you. Now then I did like rap in San Francisco on the underground. So.
Look up, everybody go straight from this to YouTube and search Dinosaurs Will Die by NoFX. That's a good one. That's about destroying the music industry. All right, guys. Oh man, there's so many more that are coming into my head now. I can't go down this rabbit hole. It was awesome having you guys. Thank you so much for having me as a judge. It was so much fun, and I learned a lot, and it was awesome. And we didn't play the song, so that's another thing we'll have to do next week or sometime soon. But we shared it already in here before, the object link. Where is that again? Here it is. Whoops, we both did it at the same time. Object /@Teztones. Go and mint some of those. I'm going to go there right now. And I will see you all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Follow these guys on Twitter too. This is their Twitter. So
thank you all very much.
Thanks,
guys,
everyone.
for having us. Yep. Nice to meet you, David. Have a good one.
Likewise.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.
All right.